Greetings. My name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademarked training video live on YouTube. Out to you because you're watching. Thank you. And meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Core New Core, anyone interested in surviving as a Pilates instructor, and anyone interested in using core new tension in their own mobility or in what they train others to do in something other than Pilates. So I only have one subject today, but it's such a big subject. I'm scared about not doing a good job trying to clearly present my view on the subject. Okay? And so the subject is the one word alignment. So it's about alignment, right? And specifically, because of the way we started, it's about the alignment through the wrist. And nothing is more satisfying than giving a person a true sensation of alignment. And at the wrist, it's pretty easy, and especially if you have something to provide tension. I was going to say if you have Pilates equipment, but really just a TheraBand going in between these two knuckles, right? Why is that? Because if you allow me to do this, here, okay, is a spring and a handle. And there are handles and springs in Pilates equipment, right? And when you take a hold of the handle and press down through the handle, maybe I can just do it this way now. Press down through the handle. It's a question of where does your wrist belong in the alignment when you're seeking alignment from elbow to wrist. So there is this plane, and there is this plane, right? And all the rotation in between. So there's this plane, this plane, and the rotation through both planes. Where does your wrist belong? And so I would tell you as a Pilates instructor, you find where it belongs through your own experience. And when you have spring tension challenging the alignment through the wrist, it's not this. It's not this. Well, play with it yourself. The key point I want to make is find the alignment for yourself. And there it is. And the great thing about spring tension is that it allows you to have feedback, have sensation about where alignment really exists. For me, in my body, it's flat across the top. Flat. Flat. Not half and half. Flat. And here, it's through these two knuckles. The line goes through these two knuckles. And of course, the same thing is true of the foot. Because the biology is trying to accomplish the physics at both extremities with the same stuff we have in our body. Alignment through the wrist is sensational. And if you have a pedipole or the end of a Cadillac, or it's nice to have the availability of a variety of spring tension or any kind of tension. You can do this with a TheraBand over the top of the head and having it come down through the first two knuckles. Right? Try wherever you want in your tension and place the point of alignment wherever you want. Where you're strongest is right through the first two metatarsals in the hand and the big toe in the next joint in the foot. That's the line. And the line is perceptible. It's in spring tension. Right? And so however you get to the ideal alignment, my point would be that there is an ideal that you can feel. And that's as true through the alignment of the wrist as it is through the alignment of the ankle or at the neck or between the shoulders and the hips. So in my notes it says, putting your student into their own discernment, right? So I just want to stride right out and say, well, look, alignment through the wrist is flat across the top and through the first two knuckles. But that's all thinking and knowing. And a Pilates instructor, in my value spectrum, would be much better off merely putting the student in a position where there was enough tension, where alignment was obvious, and then wherever it was obvious, and that's what mattered most. Right? Now, alignment is what it is. And gives you the rewards of its status. See, it wasn't, as a martial artist, or a background in martial arts, I knew what it took to hit someone through the wrist and not break your wrist. I at least knew what straight through the knuckles meant. And so as an instructor, anyone that I have as a karate enthusiast or from the karate culture, I know I don't have to, but I can immediately make a connection with them by putting them in spring tension through their wrists in what would be a straightforward punching arrangement. Straight is straight, no matter what else you might have in your mind, whether it's martial arts or Pilates or anything else. Straight is straight. And in paying attention to alignment, you're striving for that situation where things line up. They're aligned. I know that sounds weird. Um, the point I'm making to you as a Pilates instructor is knowing that it's not about knowing what it is. It's about putting that person inside the cave of their own experience, C-A-V-E, caverna, so that they can listen to their own sensation and 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 find alignment on their own. To me, that's doing my job. So it's not about me looking at what the alignment is on the wrist and making a change in that just by instruction. That may be the only thing at hand or available. But the point being, you go to depth when you turn your student into their own observer and you're giving them a range of sensation and telling them to find what feels lined up to you. On the pedal pole, it's two springs hanging from a bar where you can just stand between them and push down on spring tension with your hands. The alignment of your wrists is a feedback mechanism that goes right into the shoulders and where the shoulders belong. But even if you're dealing with someone who's very tight shoulders and doesn't have anything in the shoulders, you often can find alignment in the wrists by allowing there to be tension and have it be enough that the differences are perceptible. And I'm leading myself into saying that sometimes with some students going to a heavier spring or more springs or something that makes the tension more challenging to make where ideal lines up, because in my experience it does, and you're trying to afford your student the opportunity to sense alignment through their wrist. And for me and my body, flat across the top and leading through the first two knuckles, like that. So here I am showing you that when that fist flat across the top and leading, the line comes straight through the wrist. And out here, when you open your hand, it looks like that. So see how the fingers are winged to the outside? This takes away the alignment. This lines up back here through these bones, and this through here is the major line through your wrist. Okay. My opinion, my point of view, my sensation. And I'm saying to you, you may find it's different in your wrist, okay, then run with that. But my point is you can make alignment sensational for your student, and that's doing your job. All right. I'm going to go try to lay a brief summary on this. There is so much more to say just about the hand and the grip and how rotation that gives control, and it's all about contrology. You can fill that all in for me when you talk about the grip at the hand, right? Because I'm always talking about the grip at the hip. And there, see, I would have been totally bummed if I hadn't remembered to do this. Okay, so I walked into a workshop that had at least 20, maybe 30 people with their backs to the walls, and I didn't speak their language and they didn't speak mine. because my translator, my interpreter wasn't there yet. And so you can hang waiting for someone else to make meaning or for me to be an instructor, but luckily I ended up taking a towel and I went up to the first person and I waved a hello, and then I showed them making a grip like this on the towel, where the fingers are flat against the palm, right? And sometimes they might go like this, but I would say no, I would correct, because it's just about flat fingers against the palm. It's about a squeeze, right? And I would point to my bicep and say, be strong with this grip. And so they would grip it tightly, and I would go like that and pull it out. And no words, but a lot of communication. And then I would show a grip like this, where, right, there's a curl in to the effort. Right? And I'd say, be strong. And I'd go to pull it out, and the grip is noticeably different. It's way stronger. And so I got to do this with everybody in the class. And my interaction with them as an instructor didn't require any words, but delivered two sensations, right, that then could be evaluated in their own right, especially based on each other. And the whole lesson was that a squeeze is different than a grip. There are so many things you can teach, like gripping a foam roller and then having your student, hold a foam roller, palms up, thumbs apart, trying to make a grip on the roller, and then you, with both hands, try to rotate it and show how difficult it is for such an open grip to have any control. And then go to a smaller diameter thing like a push-through bar or whatever piece of equipment in the studio, and show how much better a grip that's the appropriate size for the hand that's capable of the grip. So I don't think alignment is arbitrary, and I've tried to point to how I, as an instructor, try to pursue delivering to my student a sensation that they can listen to and observe and find more control in. And there's a specific place that your wrist belongs in a fist, to reach out through that line. And when the palm opens, your fingers wing to the outside in order to maintain the line through the wrist. This breaks the line. This diminishes the force in the line. So in doing hundreds, these are, you may already see it as around there, and of course, but I could always tell if I was in some place teaching strange and I saw someone I didn't know doing their hundreds through the line in their wrist that had their fingers looking like this, that somewhere along the line they had exposure to Michael Miller wrists. And so Michael Miller wrists come from acknowledging the line through the wrist, and that to maintain that line, when fingers open, you're strongest this way through your hand. And all the things like rowing and boomerang and where do your wrists belong? There's my message, and then I'll go. Your wrists have a place where they belong, just like your head and neck have a place where it belongs. I hope I can synthesize any of this for the Facebook to come. It was about alignment today, and alignment is perceptible. And that's my message about wrists and cueing wrists, is knowing that alignment is perceptible. You cue towards the achievement of controlling alignment through your own wrist based on what you sense. Live can't live forever, but it certainly is great while it's happening. Sometimes. Read between the lines, see behind the curtain, add two and two. Direct your own thinking. Geist.